So when I look at myself today, I'm really happy that I found my groove. I'm really happy that I found out who I am.
Truth be told, you ain't never had a friend like him. He's my friend, Kevin Wong. Thank you for being on with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Kevin, we've been friends for a few years now, and in the throes of COVID, you and I actually had a really wonderful conversation on a Twitter Spaces around identity and how we present different versions of ourselves, maybe in different rooms or to different people. And I think that we come to a place where, at least for myself, I've been able to find a place to present all of my identities together to a room or a place or to a group. But what's your take on that?
I think it's hard to not, right? So I'm Asian, I'm Chinese, and I'm also gay. So for me, because of my intersecting identities, it's really tough to not look at those things together. I think when you think about the US, we have had, I'll be honest, a track record of mistreating and marginalizing groups. So that does include AAPI people and LGBTQ people. And when you fast forward to the 2022s, 2020, 2021, when there were increases in violence against Asian people, and then also the recent fights around marriage equality, remember that was less than a decade ago. You kind of can't see, you can see why those marginalized identities would still have a hold on us, right? Like they affect how people see us and perceive us.
I feel like when we have conversations about exploring our ourselves and our identity, we have these little micro experiences that help shape who we are. And they're not micro by any means of how they affect us, but how has this, I guess, cyberbullying or hate expressing interactions, I guess you could say, has that helped really you to embrace who you are today?
Oh, definitely. So that's kind of like a self-discovery journey, I would say, and also learning about the history of LGBTQ people and Asian people in this country. And so it's almost like a "it's not me, it's them" sort of thing. So learning that history or teaching myself, educating myself, I learned about things like the Chinese Exclusion Act, the Geary Act. So these are like the only US laws ever to prevent naturalization on the basis of race, right? And so you think that was 1800s, but things like that find ways to embed themselves into culture, into ways of knowing or ways of believing, and you can see why it isn't so far fetched that people would feel that maybe Asian people are less than or lesser than other potential partners for themselves. So fast forward to when I finally came out, I was experiencing these feelings and emotions because people had projected those things onto me. It had nothing to do with me and who my personality was. It was based on assumptions that they had made of me. So that journey helped me better understand, not excuse people, not, I'm not defending the people for feeling this way, but it helped me understand why they might have felt that way. So internalized racism is a term that people use around this. And then same for how straight heterosexual people might have treated me maybe in high school or a little bit in college
Yeah.
similarly.
Well, let me ask you more than your experience as a young Kevin Wong, but what was Kevin Wong like? Who was he? What's your, I guess, best memory about that kiddo? I'm seeing you squirming a little bit in your seat, which I
Well,
love, but
okay, so I've talked about my past a lot. We are definitely different people. We grow into different people. And so I make that squirming face because not because I'm ashamed of where I've come from or who I was. I'm just definitely a different person. So I'll explain that. So I was super shy. I definitely just wanted to fit in. I remember my parents enrolled me in Taekwondo, in scouting. Looking back, I think a lot of those things, I'll be honest, gave me a lot of confidence and trust in myself. So some of the confidence maybe that I carry around today is rooted in some of those things. I didn't see a lot of possibility models for myself. So right? Like, how could you be so confident in navigating this world without knowing, oh, I have an opportunity for myself to be successful or to be, right now I'm a comms person, to be a successful comms person. So if you don't see those things, I mean, maybe you grow up to be that role model for somebody else, but if you don't see those things, it's hard to see yourself in that position.
You're doing such incredible work for the Trevor Project and resourcing at-risk LGBT youth. Do you think you bring a part of yourself into that work you're doing?
It's interesting because when I was interviewing for this role, there was so much opportunity that I saw to bring my professional experiences into what my personal experiences were, right? So, coming out was a wild journey for me and my family. I feel very lucky, by the way, to have their support. They love me, but it took some education and understanding. And everyone has, every queer person, if they've come out, they have a coming out story and a coming out journey. And sometimes that journey feels ongoing. And that was something that I brought with me to work, right? So, something else I wanted to talk about is coming out as an AAPI person. I'll share with you about a third of our crisis contacts at the Trevor Project there by POC. So that indicates a need, right? And everyone, listen, they have their own unique challenges, unique experiences, but some of them are culturally grounded. So do I know what it's like to come out as an AAPI LGBTQ person? Do I know what it's like to hold it in? Do I know what it's like for, the younger generation to find out first in my family and then to have to face the aunts and uncles and then parents and all of the different nuances of being AAPI and LGBTQ? If you were listening, by the way, you are not alone. uh, yeah, it's definitely something that I bring to work and something that I want to make sure that we look out for when we're supporting all LGBTQ young people.
You're probably one of the most optimistic and kind friends I have. And I just have to ask you, and we talked a little bit about this, over the course of your life and experience, but what in your life has driven that sensibility and optimism about you?
Thank you for saying that. I mean, I say this a lot. I'm just out here living, but how can I not be optimistic when I have friends and people like you who are fighting every day to make the world a little safer, a little brighter for everyone? I mean, I think it's actually, we have some of the same friends, and I think you probably see it too. It's not just me, it's not just you. I think the people that we surround ourselves with, it helps with that sense of optimism.
What's your secret sauce in terms of finding your tribe and your people?
Things like Twitter have changed the game. I mean, I remember when Twitter first started, I was the diligent, I'm a PR person, I'm a comms person, I'm only going to tweet about PR stuff. And then when I finally started opening up, like tweeting about anime, my queer identity, when I talked more about being Asian and my experience as an AAPI LGBTQ person, that community naturally grew. I think we're all looking for each other, I'll be honest. I think we all want to find our own tribes. So, sources of that joy and community, definitely Twitter. Of course, Twitter also is a double edged sword because there's also sources of the opposite of joy. But I think we all we're all in that together, right? It's all up to us to almost like guard ourselves from and create our own communities so that we can enjoy the platform.
I love the phrase "a possibility model," and you are a possibility model for all intents and purposes for people out there. But what would you say, Kevin? What and who is Kevin Wong today? What is your truth?
Wow. So when I was younger, I'll be honest, I felt pretty directionless. So when I look at myself today, I'm really happy that I found my groove. I'm really happy that I found out who I am. I have a great support system with my partner, my friends and family, friends you included. Very thankful for them. Who is Kevin Wong today? I mean, he's all those things, right? And I think it's really important, especially at work, especially at a queer organization that I work at, for me to show up as my whole self. So not just the gay part, not just the Asian part, but all of those things together. And also as someone who really cares about his family, because I think it makes me an empathetic leader when people on the team say, "Hey, I have this family thing," or "Hey, I have this health thing," or "Hey, I just had, I adopted a cat and I want to make sure they get all the shots that they need." Of course, I'm going to be like, "Yeah, I love cats. Go ahead." "Oh, I have a family too. I see that in myself. I want you to have that family time. Go ahead." So I think it's really important to see that in yourself too.
I love it. And you certainly are bringing it. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
To see more Truth Be Told, check us out at pluslifemedia.com and follow us at pluslifemedia. Until next time, don't forget, let your truth be told.